Nothing real can be threatened. A spirit cannot be threatened because it's eternal. It doesn't die. Nothing unreal exists. This does not exist. Herein lies the peace of God. When we understand this, we are in the peace of God. But for us to understand this is a process that takes time in time. And we have to be very loving and very patient with ourselves. I'm the first one. And when we fall, the fall didn't happen one day. The fall is happening now. 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 The fall is constantly happening. Constantly happening. That's why the mind needs to be aware of the fall. As many of you know, because you know me or we have talked a little bit, and if not, I would like to say it here. I started, I have my breakthrough or my first ego death or initiation, we can say, because there is no death until we are done here. And nothing at the end needs to die, really. But I also started with medicines, with ayahuasca, when I was 27. It was 2013, and I went to Cusco, and I drank ayahuasca over there, as many of you, or everyone here, because we attract our tribes. But then I realized that something was missing. And then on 2017, I connected with A Course in Miracles, and then I put, or the mind, put theory or words to the experience. And that was enlightening. That was amazing. So the moment I connected with A Course in Miracles, I can say that I stopped consuming medicines. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it has limits. And that I faced the limits and I hit my head with the wall really hard. And I listened to Spirit the last day I had Cambo when it says, from now on, you only serve. And that's it. So we open our mind, and then the guide comes a lot more and more and more. And now let's open our baby mind, our sleeping Christ mind, for the presentation. So let's say that in the beginning there was only love, which has no lines, no limits, but for the rational mind that we're using, we need limits. So in the beginning, only love exists. But inside love, there was a crazy idea. The Course calls it like this. It is a crazy idea. Inside love, there were particles. There were particles. And this can also be Judaism, Kabbalah, if you have studied. It can also remind you about this, the language. One of the particles inside the all had this crazy idea. What if I become a white spot with curly red hair, dressed in black? What if I play this game? And on that crazy idea, as the Course calls this, it says that it happened in a fraction of a second. On this crazy idea, the mind, because everything was love and everything was mine, it is the first love of the 12 laws. Everything is mine, God is mine, the universe is mine. We already know this. On this mind, a paranoia, kind of a schizophrenic, bipolar thinking was born. What if I live this experience and then the idea of separation was born? Why? Because the particle thought that by living this experience, she or he had to leave the origin. But I'm not putting the particle outside. I want you to notice this. The particle is it is still in the all. So the book says the only problem of the particle is the idea of separation. And then on that idea, a paranoia was born. What if I go away from the all, from home, from my origin? And on that paranoia, a system was created. And this system is the system of guilt and fear, which is the paranoia of the particle, born by the idea of being separate, born by the desire of the particle to live again, a desire. What if I become a man named Salah? What if I become a woman named Zoe? So we are all the particle playing the game. In this system, this mental, paranoid, schizophrenic system, as the book calls it, the mind started thinking, oh my God, I'm going away from my origin. What if I cannot come back? And fear was created. What if I cannot come back? What if I'm going away too much? What if I cannot stop being this white spot with red hair dressed in black? And then from that desire, another system was created, and it's guilt. Oh my God, what have I done? And the book says that the idea is that the particle became the father of her father, became the creator, and the particle forgot that she or he was a co-creator because she's still inside of the dream with the all. But the idea of being separated from the all and from the rest of the particles created a system that contaminated the mind, which is called guilt, on the game that the particle created. From this paranoia, we can say that this is the first dream. And if there is a first dream, there is no dream before the first one. And I want you to be very clear of this. And that is what the book says. You will be there by revelation. You will be before the idea, before the initial thought. You will visit that place, but that just happens by revelation. And that revelation is given to you at the exact moment that the all knows that the particle is ready. So first dream was born, and then from that dream and that paranoia, second dream was born, which is what science calls the Big Bang. Judaism also calls Big Bang. It makes a reference to the Big Bang, which happened in a fraction of a second. Everything was created. But what happened here, the particle was already in fear. The particle was already in guilt. So all the particles were having the same thought because it got contaminated, because we are all the same particles. But I'm putting this circle to point at separation. Point at the crazy idea, which is the idea of separation. And we are all contaminated in our own bubble, thinking that we are away from the all that help the mind create the dream that we want to dream. So that is the paranoia, that is the schizophrenic thought, that is the mind contaminated. On the Big Bang, the ideas were, the particles were like, okay, how do we destroy this? How do we end the game? How do we eliminate the idea of separation from the mind? And then We can call it the Bardo state, as Buddhism calls this, the Bardo state, in which all the particles just come as particles, which is the ether, which has no body, it's just a ball of energy, because that is the idea of the mind. First, to start living the game, but with only one purpose. Now that the particle saw what she did, now the particle is committed to wake up from the paranoia, to eliminate the only idea that is bothering the particle. I am away from my creator. I'm not dreaming the dream with my creator. And then another system was born, which is I am my own father, which the book says you wanted to become the father of your father. And the only issue that you have in your mind is that you forgot your parenthood. You forgot who your father and mother is. The book uses a male language on this aspect. It calls God, the origin, the divinity, the great spirit, the father. And I'm going to call it like this because I'm going to stick to the course language, but I'm also going to use some different language so that we could integrate everything into this Christian language and strict language that the book uses. So the second dream was born, and the particle came to the Bardo state, and they were like, okay, they were talking. Okay, so now we are gonna be family. We are gonna be friends. We are gonna be partners. We are gonna be colleagues. We're gonna work together. I'm gonna be your boss. You're gonna be my employee. We are gonna be neighbors. We are going to be enemies. And so from those agreements, the third dream was born. A line was opened, which is time and space. Time and space with past, present, and future. But the book says the mind is living the paranoia, the crazy idea. So the mind only sees the past. So you are not where you are. You are just living the past. You are stuck to the paranoia. You are stuck to the system of guilt and fear. Remember this. This is very important. This is lesson number 7. I only see the past. I only see the past. I don't see anything else. So on the third dream, the line of space and time was born, and then the particles, creator, because they are co-creators with the creator, they are creators of the dream. By their desire, they created their bodies. All the particles came into what we call life and what we call matter. The book says that this is not life because the only life is the eternal, that we are dead, we are not living, and that is very radical. So imagine that the particle, it's only love. It's only love. The particle is only love. There is nothing else but love. But the particle is contaminated by a system. This system, it's called the mind. That mind is contaminated by a program. The virus of this program that the mind is, it is full of guilt and fear. But the particle forgot that inside there is the Christ. We're going to put it here, which is the representation of the particle, of the creator that helped the particle create the dream.